What's up, squad? It's Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, I wanted to answer a viewer question coming from Steps of the Levant. Thank you so much for the comment and the question. I do think it's a great conversation to be had. And the question is somewhat along the lines of my thoughts on expectations of Saudi Arabia and Qatar working with Turkey or Turkey, what have you, to develop pipelines throughout the region, primarily through Syria and Turkey, to replace the European energy dependency, to replace Europe's energy dependency on Russia, especially with those of a country such as Qatar, which is a major powerhouse in the national natural gas realm. Now, as far as the actual pipeline itself, maybe. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm 50-50 on this. But I think what's really important in this regard towards your question is the steps that Turkey is making, not so much to build the actual pipeline from Qatar through Turkey, but the relationships that it's working on building within the region to allow it to corner the market. And I explain why this is so important and even more powerful and influential than the actual physical pipeline going from Qatar to Turkey. So I'll go ahead and I'll just go through the players in the region and some of the behavior that Turkey has uh, basically displayed with these partners. Of course, I believe President Erdogan is probably the foremost, if not one of the foremost geopolitical thinkers at a leadership level in the world. He's been doing this a long time. He's good at what he does, and their mind is in the right place. And he's done a lot to secure influence through power on a global stage, despite having many economic concerns at home, which basically proves as well that although economics help, is not necessarily required to develop your power and be influential on the world stage. He does it through the geography and his demography, Turkey being a highly populous country that it is. So, if we go through the players of the region, we could start with let's start with all of the energy hotspots we have over there. So, look at Algeria. What has President Erdogan done with Algeria? He's been a great partner in Algeria, and in all these countries and more, he has worked to improve relationships and trade. And it's no coincidence. You have a country like Algeria, which is kind of on the outs in the Arab world because Algeria has a highly contentious relationship with Morocco, and we have some videos on that, primarily around the Western Sahara. And Algeria is seeking to curb the influence of Morocco within that western region of Africa, that Maghreb region of Africa. So because of that, Morocco has great relationships with France and Saudi Arabia, etc. And that's kind of left Algeria a little bit on the outs. And Turkey has worked very much so to steadily improve relationships, um, export weapons, and develop trade with Algeria. There have been multiple trips by President Erdogan to many countries in the world, but uh, Algeria in particular, to further develop that relationship. You can look at Libya, which has pretty much gone into the dumps, unfortunately, but the country is split more or less between two sides, right? You have the Tripoli government in the west, and then you have Marshal Haftar forces, the Libyan National Army in the east. Now, Marshal Haftar tried to take Tripoli. And I think so. What happened coming out of Libya? The Tripoli government came to power, and it seems as though they didn't have the support or the power or the strong man, the influence that was needed to solidify the country in a lot of people's eyes. And when Marshal Haftar, who is a very interesting character as well, links to American intelligence using links to American intelligence groups and a lot of clandestine operations there. Former Gaddafi person turned to Gaddafi, etc. But he seemed like a strong man that could solidify the country, keep his foot on some of the terrorist necks. He's very anti-Muslim Brotherhood, and a lot of countries, especially Egypt, like that about them. And he just seemed like a guy that can get stuff done. And because of that, he got a lot of backing from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Russia, France, even France. So even though there was a UN recognized government in Tripoli, because this Marshal Haftar seemed so strong, he received a lot of support. And Turkey was one of the few countries that overtly supported the Tripoli government. And this is very important because when Marshal Haftar went to move on Tripoli and defeat them with support of and weapons from Russia and other foreign entities, they were going to take Tripoli, but they were repelled by the Libyan National Forces, supported by Turkey. This is one of the great reasons why the drones that Turkey have are so famous, because people see these things in actions. Turkey was able to assist Tripoli in maintaining a government, and they actually pushed back the opposing anti-government forces. So Turkey came in real big for Libya. And of course, what is the trade-off? The Tripoli government have offered, they're in talks and offering exploration rights for resources off the coast. So you have Algeria there, Turkey's working relationship. You have Libya, where Turkey actually donated or gave weapons to contribute to their success to sustain themselves in power. And this is two birds, one stone, because not only have Turkey sided with them, but now countries such as France, which will be a competitor to Turkey in the Mediterranean, are on the outs because they were supporting the rebel leader. Move further east, let's go to Qatar. Of course, Qatar shares the largest gas reserve in the world, the largest gas reserve there is in the world. And that is if you're Iranian, they'll call it South Pars. And if you're Qatari, they call it North Dome. So this gas production area is pretty much split between Iran and Qatar. And while Iran has struggled, and this is what I always talk about, like Iran is just so suspect. They shoot themselves so much in the foot, it can't be coincidental. These guys are absolutely hapless over there. But Qatar has been going to work on that field. And Qatar has been pumping out North Dome gas like it's nobody business. So although there was dreams of Iran running a pipeline from South Pars, their portion of the oil field, through Iraq, through Syria to the Mediterranean, that was going to compete with a pipeline from Qatar through Turkey to go to Europe. But Iran was never able to pull that off because of the sanctions, etc., shooting themselves in the foot in their underdevelopment of this part of the world. Whereas Qatar was going to take that pipeline running through Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Syria, and then Turkey. And I think that's really interesting because both of those pipelines, whether you was going to go Iran pipeline, or you was going to go Qatar, Turkey pipeline, both of those competing pipelines had to go through Syria. And that's why it's such a geopolitical move that Turkey moved into Syria, because they have pretty much monopolized the options. So even if Iran had built that pipeline or wanted to build that pipeline, or had the ability to build a pipeline, it still would have to go through Turkish-controlled region now that President Assad is out of power. So we have Algeria, Libya, and now you see Qatar. And another thing with Qatar, right? And this is Turkey really putting its skin in the game, proving its loyalty and gaining allies and being a strong geopolitical player. Remember 2017 Gulf crisis. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, they ganged up on Qatar, and they were like restricting flights. Saudi Arabia went as far as putting out a blockade. And what did Turkey do? Did Turkey abandon Qatar or leave them alone? No. Turkey doubled down, sent troops down to Qatar as a show of force to say, look, guys, enough is enough. If you try any more funny business with Qatar, we'll be here waiting for you. So when you have an ally like this, this is geopolitics that countries like China can only dream of. Like gaining allies, this is what I talk about. China's weak in this area. Gaining allies, building support, building successful relationships with other countries and investing in those relationships so that they pay off. Qatar and Turkey are amazing friends. And Qatar is the number one gas player, sitting on North Dome, one of the largest gas production regions in the world. It is said that that North Dome South Part gas field, the recoverable gas is equal or greater to all the other recoverable gas in the world. So with Qatar alone, you can corner the petroleum gas market to a hungry Europe that imports nearly 50% of all global natural gas imports. So it's amazing what Turkey has done in building this very strategic relationship with Qatar. So he's got loyalty from Qatar. He has good relationships with Algeria. He has loyalty from the Tripoli government, which he helped keep in place. Now move that up again, right? Now we're in the Caucasus. What's going on in the Caucasus? Turkey has put its skin in the game again. They were one of the biggest supporters, if not the biggest supporters, of Azerbaijan, a major natural gas producer, taking back land that they believe they should own, governed by Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh. The biggest supporters were Turkey and Israel. And so this corridor now, with Azerbaijan becoming stronger by taking back this region, asserting more autonomy within its borders, you have a corridor now from Turkey to Azerbaijan and then the Caspian Sea. And what's on the other side of that Caspian Sea? A bunch of other Turkmenistan. The fourth largest gas reserves in the world. So now you have Turkey operating in North Africa, natural gas exports there going to Europe. Turkey operating in Qatar and building a relationship there with the North Dome. That's another energy segment they cornered. And now Turkey going to the east and building that relationship, maintaining strong. Not only is this going to be geopolitical relationships through geography and politics, but blood relationships. Azerbaijanis, Turks. I have a video out there, one nation, two states. Turkmens in Turkmenistan, right? So you could take the gas from Turkmenistan, run pipeline through the Caspian, Azerbaijan, collect more gas into Turkey. And this is what I mean by maybe not necessarily having the pipelines in place, which they will be eventually built, more than likely, but also the relationships. Because Europe is so energy hungry, so reliant on energy, and that's the pretty much the bond that America has on Europe. You control energy, you control Europe. That's always been the great threat for America and Europe, is that Russia was so strong, and with a flick of the wrist, they can turn off pipelines going to Europe. And this is a very serious threat, as Europe depends on the energy needs of natural gas. So you have all these relationships, and on top of that, the relationships are way more powerful than just the pipelines itself, because these countries also export to other parts of the world. India's natural gas importer. China's a natural gas importer. And although not to the extent of Europe, imagine having that ability to tell China major gas exporters, Turkmenistan, Qatar, hey guys, calm down on your energy exports to China. So with this energy, Turkey is allowing itself through its relationships, this pseudo natural gas OPEC, if you will, to really put itself in an influential position to make moves on a geopolitical chessboard in a major way. And the last thing I want to say, when I'm talking about Turkey, is I was looking at some of the moves they were making in Africa as well. I read that it is considered that Erdogan, outside of any African leader, Erdogan has visited Africa the most. And I really like to follow real world leaders, not so much their head of state, their foreign advisor, but we're the actual president of the countries or prime minister of the countries. Where are they going? Where are they traveling to? I think that's a great indicator of where their priorities are. Erdogan is considered to visit the most African countries outside of any African leader. So outside of Africa, nobody has been in more African countries than Erdogan. Believes he's at 50 trips to Africa to 30 states. And this is phenomenal. And he's going everywhere. He's going South Africa. He's going Somalia. He's going Algeria. He's going Central African Republic. He's going everywhere. Gambia. Like, he's going everywhere within Africa. British colonies, French colonies, broken states. Like he's going everywhere, Angola, and he's building relationships, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, weapons, etc., etc. So he even referenced Turkey in one of his speeches as a Afro-Eurasian state. Like the level, the adroitness of that, like this, the level of cleverness that took to market himself as that. And you think about this, and it's a failed attempt years ago, and that's why I say I think it takes time to be a great geopolitical leader, because you got to know what works, you got to catch your vibe, you got to catch your groove, you got to grow into it. And him being in power for 20 years, he has really done so. That from seeing him a failed bid to try to be a part of Europe, to now market himself as the center, the nexus of Afro-Eurasian fear. Like how mind blowing is that? It's beyond ambitious. It's greater than Khan. It's greater than just the concept alone. This is greater than Napoleon. Just this idea of I'm not Eurasian. I'm Afro-Eurasian. How many geopolitical thinkers have saw that sphere going as far from Portugal to Vladivostok down to Cape Town? This concept of an Afro-Eurasian fear is so advanced, it's so ambitious, and he's like, I don't have resources. Maybe the population is not the biggest; it's a nice size. I believe Turkey's around 80 to 100 million people, but this ability to proposition himself to Africa, to a part of the world that's about to be booming, and he's already getting in there as a seller and saying, not only am I a friend, I am one of you. Turkey is an Afro-Eurasian country. We're not an Asian country or a European country. We're an Afro-Eurasian country. Like just that brand alone is geopolitical genius, and I think that's gonna show up on the bottom line and the top line as the trade and commerce improve over time. I believe for Turkey. So those are just a few key thoughts that I had. I definitely think that Iran is kicking itself in the foot, and I think it's masterful that Erdogan has positioned his country through various means to be the center of the energy market without being a major domestic producer of energy. And I almost forgot Cyprus as well. Like that was the whole deal with Cyprus as well, in his battle with Greece over sovereignty there, is they want to make sure that they control those gas markets in that part of the Mediterranean as well. So, like you, I'm still watching, very interested to see how things play out. But these are just great moves. It's amazing to watch as a person that has looked at history, and when you see great thinkers, it's always awesome. The awesome part is you see a person with a dream for their people to aspire. And a lot of times now, and it's probably always been the case in the past, but it's so many just crooks. They just want to slice some fat off the pig's back and soften their pensions. And it's rare when you see a person that really loves their people, want to see the development of their people, and try to build the relationships that will empower their people over the long run. So it's interesting to see it done, and the pragmatism and the levers they pull to get it done. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for the suggestions, Steps of the Levant, on this video. I really appreciate the question, and it really got me thinking on this one. So thank you once again. Everybody else, if you want to, feel free to comment below, like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Until next time, take care. Bantu up.